On a work trip, I checked into my hotel room, had some room service, and went to bed early, knowing I had a big presentation in the morning. I'm a deep sleeper, the kind who snoozes through storms. When I woke up to the sound of the door clicking open and shut, I assumed it was from the hallway. Maybe headlights had flashed through the window, but then I heard rustling in the room. The other bed creaked, and then my stomach dropped. I turned over and switched on the lamp. There, sitting at the edge of the other bed, was a shadow. It was not a person, just a shape, dark and solid, watching me. My breath became trapped in my throat. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. All I could do was stare at it. Then, as if it realized I was fully awake, it stood up and disappeared. Still, I don't know what exactly it was. Was it really a ghost? Was it just a hallucination? I have no idea. I had some scary experiences with hypnagogic hallucinations. The one that sticks out specifically is the time I hallucinated something climbing into bed with me. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. Strangely, it actually wasn't scary at this point. My mind apparently classified whatever it was as benign. I distinctly remember it pressing against my face, like the entire right side felt warm, almost like somebody pressing their cheek to mine. It started talking to me, and I distinctly remember it saying, "I love you." It was honestly not a bad experience up until now. It was actually very calming and serene. Then it asked me, "Can you see the devil in the room?" I shot out of that bed, racing for the light as fast as I could. I realized pretty quickly it was a hallucination, but I still kept the light on for the rest of the night after that. By far the worst hypnagogic hallucination I have had. My mind does freaky stuff when I sleep. I tend to have pretty severe nightmares, as well as bouts of sleep paralysis. The sleep study said I was fine. A few years ago, my husband, our 4-year-old daughter, and I went on a road trip in Bali. One night, we reached an old bungalow that had been converted into a guest house. We arrived around midnight, and the caretaker welcomed us, showing us to our room. After locking the door, we all went to sleep. Late that night, we woke up to a strange knock on the door. Startled, I got up to check. But when I opened the door, no one was there. To make things more unsettling, the common area lights were on even though we had switched them off before going to bed. Thinking it was nothing unusual, I turned them off again and returned to bed. The next morning, we spoke to the caretaker, and he surprised us with an unexpected revelation. He had been away all night and only came back at dawn. This meant there was no one else in the guest house that night. My husband and I couldn't make sense of it. Who or what had knocked on our door? And how had the lights turned on? Though we'll never know what really happened that night, we're thankful that nothing harmful occurred. It's still a mystery we talk about often, a mix of curiosity, unease, and fascination. We remember it as one of the strangest moments of our travels, leaving us with more questions than answers. Last year around Halloween, my friend and I went to a haunted house run by a local community club. It was in an extremely old building once used as an orphanage. Tens of children died there, and many are buried on the property. The money raised by the haunted house goes toward identifying the children and giving them headstones. They say the building is really haunted, and my friend is definitely someone who believes in ghosts. I'm a bit more skeptical. Well, I was, until this incident. We went through room by room, and the kid actor in one of them opened the next door for us. We stepped through, and it slammed shut behind us. We were in complete darkness, and I thought that was a bit unusual, considering that we could run into something. I reached out in front of me, but I couldn't find a wall. I turned behind me and felt for the door, but the panel had shut and was flush with the wall. Sensing that someone was watching us, I called out to any actors present in the room. No response. Something felt really wrong. I told my friend to hold her breath. I could still hear breathing, but it wasn't us. At that point, I turned my phone flashlight on. It didn't feel like a game anymore. We were in a room painted all black, and there was a singular chair in the middle of the room facing us. There were no doors or windows. And it was just us two. We started yelling for help from the other side of the wall, hoping the kid would hear us and let us out. We had no cell service, and I was starting to panic. Finally, another kid actor opened the wall from the room we were in before and asked, "How did you get in there?" We explained that the other kid had opened the door. He said, "What kid?" He insisted he was the only actor in that room the whole night, and hadn't even left to go to the bathroom or anything. It still makes my stomach twist when I think about it. I have told these stories to friends many times, but never written them down. I will preface this by saying that I am a non-religious skeptic who does not believe in the supernatural, but I have no explanation for these events. I'll try to keep this terse because it was actually a series of events. They all occurred when I moved with my legal guardian into a home in the CA Bay Area many years ago. The first thing we noticed was that one of the rooms in the rear of the house was much colder than the rest of the house, to the point that it was constantly remarked upon. My room was directly across the hall from this cold room, which was set up for my guardian's son. My guardian's son would visit often, and the son was young, around age 6 or 7. When he would visit, he would sometimes be tired and cranky in the mornings, and when asked why, he would say, "I can't sleep because the man watches me at night." Fast forward some months. I wake in the middle of the night in my room with the certainty that someone is in my room with me, staring at me. My heart is absolutely pounding. I try not to move or breathe or do anything that would give away that I am there. Eventually, the feeling passes and I am able to sleep. Months later, I am in the kitchen cooking up a hot pocket or something in the microwave. I recall retrieving my food and turning around with the saucer in my hand and seeing before me a shadowy mass right in front of me. Just a non-distinct shadowy mass that shouldn't be there, hovering in the air. I had enough time to register it before it moved directly towards me, and fast. I flinched hard, dropped my plate, and turned and ran out of the room. I often think of writing a letter to that address to ask the current inhabitants if they have experienced anything strange. I was using the bathroom at a mall a couple of years ago during Halloween. It was about closing time, and I was in a stall when I heard the door open, and a guy came in walking really slow. He kept walking until he was literally outside of my stall. He had on huge red shoes. I was pretty confused at this point, so I said, "Hey, someone's in here." He didn't say anything, so I finished and then went to open the stall door. He was dressed as a creepy clown with makeup and everything. He didn't say anything, just stared at me. I thought he was a bit slow or that he was just trying to be creepy. So I just walked by him and washed my hands, then left. A couple of days later, I was watching the news and saw that a guy was arrested for dressing up as a clown and stabbing people at the parking lot of the same mall. I was absolutely taken aback.